Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live Life with Sean. I'm your host, Sean Higgins. I'm a lifelong information security technology expert with a passion for speaking, coaching, and writing. In this podcast, I'm going to talk about what's going on in my life, and I hope that by me talking about what's going on in my life, it will help you with what's going on in your life. If you enjoy this content, please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and or leave a comment or question about it, as this will help others find this podcast. Thank you for joining me, and let's jump in tonight. I'm laughing because that's part of the working title that I have for this session is something that I've been struggling with, and I'm going to call it the push-pull of planning versus jumping in. I've been known to just jump in and do things. I think one of the most interesting things that I could think of in describing jumping in was when I went bungee jumping. I mean, this happened a couple years ago, and it wasn't something that, when I looked at bungee jumping, I'm going, why would I go bungee jumping? You know, you're jumping off a platform, you got this rubber band. What if the rubber band breaks? You know, in some cases you're jumping towards water, which is kind of cool. But in other cases, you know, you're jumping towards cement, and it's just like, yeah, that just didn't thrill me. But I was in Nanaimo, BC. We were doing zip lining, and my stepdaughter goes to me, "You want to go bungee jumping, don't you?" And without a hesitation, I said yes. I have really no idea where the yes came from, but it just felt right. I mean, I had no hesitation about doing it. I was very calm about doing it. I was thrilled about doing it, and it was an amazing experience. And I think the guy was surprised at how calm I was, you know, because most people complain about how tight the rope is tied around your feet. And I'm like, oh, that's good and tight. I was like, that's strange. But I had a great time. I just decided to do it. And there have been a number of times when amazing things have happened just because I jumped in. And it's not always do I know what's going to happen. I mean, let's talk about, there's a project that I'm working on right now that was sold or proposed by my boss, who is no longer with the company. And myself and my other cohort there really are it's above our head. And I have just really sat with the project, you know, with some guidance that we had received from the boss before he left. And I just really sat with it. And it's like when I plan my, step back a minute, you know, when I'm doing my Kickstart Your Week podcast, I usually sit down on Monday morning and I kind of sit with it and say, okay, what wants to come through for this meditation? So I took that approach with this project, and I get a general idea of what I think we should be doing. And so far, so good. It's been going very well. I mean, last week we had a 2-hour meeting. First off, I hate 2-hour meetings. I even told the project manager, let's do 2 50-minute meetings, so we definitely have a break in between so we can get a walk around and I can regroup and, you know, kind of try and figure out what I'm going to do for the second hour. But I have to tell you, after sitting with it, I had a general idea. We got into the meeting, and man, before I knew it, it was 1 hour, 50 minutes in. I'm like, where'd the time go? And I thought we had a very productive meeting. I think the client was very happy with it as well. Whew. But again, it's an example of me just jumping in and doing what I felt needed to be done. Some other things that I've kind of jumped into. 3 weeks ago, I was involved in the scholarship interviews for the Case Alumni Association. I talked about that in week 28, the Scholarship Interview Week episode. Last year about this time, I got approached by the Case Alumni Association. They said, hey, come and join the board for a year. we got a couple of things, and the only thing that kind of sparked my interest was the scholarship interviews, where, you get to interview these students and decide, um, how much scholarship they're going to get. And it was very exciting for me. And when we started planning for the interviews this year, I decided I would do all 4 days. I was one of 2 alumni that did this, but it was an amazing experience. And I talked about it again. That goes back to me just jumping in and saying that's the right thing to do and just doing it. Last night, I got asked by, again, the Case Alumni Association to be on a panel of alumni of engineers and entrepreneurs talking about their businesses. And this was to prospective students to attend Case. And I had a wonderful time with my 2 other alumni and the panelist, the panel director there, asking us questions. And again, just didn't really know what to expect. Today, sorry, there's just been a lot going on that I've kind of jumped into and just kind of feeling into and just going with the flow that just feels right. Got asked to be a part of a live stream today on the Cyber Hero Adventures, Defenders of the Digital Universe, which was a fun event, live, got questions from people that I know. And the only thing I knew is I'm on with my buddy there at Herjabad Group. We're supposed to talk about cybersecurity architecture, and that's about all I know. And the conversation just weaved and flowed and bobbed, and I thought it was a wonderful day. Next week, I think next week at this time, last week, my brother said, "Hey, can you help my students? Got a group of students here. They're having a hard time dealing with stress." So, wasn't really sure what to speak about. Again, just sat with it and came up with an outline and played with it, and still got to do some work on it, but it's feeling about right now. I changed the title a bit though. And what I'm going to talk about next week, and I almost talked about it this week, but it's not quite ready yet, is managing life, dealing with what life throws at you. And I'm hoping that, I can help the students through the stressful times that they're going through. I mean, no matter where you are in life, life's going to throw you curveballs. Life's going to throw you into stressful situations, and you're just not going to, it's going to be how you're going to deal with that curveball. Are you going to let the stress take you down, or are you going to find a way to manage that stress? And, it's just amazing that so many amazing, sorry, I'm going to have to get my thesaurus out here because I'm talking amazing. And it's just very interesting, the number of things that have happened in a short period of time that have involved me just saying yes, jumping in, and just going with it. And just the beauty of the result. Well, okay, next week I'm not sure it's going to be beautiful or not, but I mean, there's hope. I think the only thing I can say for sure, and I think when I get into these things, is that I'm going to have fun. And that's all I'm looking for next week. Is I'm going to have fun presenting to these university students, and hopefully they'll get something out of it. And that's all I can hope for. Just to give you a contrast, there's a couple of things that I'm looking at doing on my own. I would like to be more intentional in being a speaker. Today I'm a speaker. Before COVID, I was speaking about once a month, usually about cybersecurity stuff, but every once in a while I got pulled into other things, and my speaking has picked up a little bit recently with some of the stuff I've been doing here, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. So I sat with a coach and I said, okay, what's it take to be a speaker? Because part of it is when I sit there and look at being a speaker, I just get overwhelmed with what it is all about. What are the steps I need to take? How do I get there? How do I keep the speech fresh or come up with a new speech every time? So I sat down with this coach and she goes, first off, okay, you need to just come up with 2 or 3 keynote topics and cycle through them or repeat them over and over again. I mean, you can tweak them a little bit here and there, but that's the basic format. And we even sat there and came up with 5 topics. And they all felt really lively, very interesting. Some of them be a little challenging for me, but I felt that I could talk about them. The next thing that she said was get a bio. Just develop a speaker bio and integrate in the 3 keynotes that you're going to do. And then what you do, you get a speaker agent. And the speaker agent goes out and books you. That easy. It's that easy. And I talked to this coach a couple weeks ago, and you know how much have I done? 0. And, you know, anyway, another example, just indulge me here before I start looking at what the differences are and, you know, what I can do to move this forward. Talking to another coach, and we've been talking about developing a program. You know, typically programs are 8 to 12 weeks. You know, but she's suggesting start small. Okay, start small and develop a 3-week program. And I've gone through, as a matter of fact, it's been great because I went through all the topics that I've talked about here on this podcast, and I came up with 8. Actually 8 or 9 topic ideas that I could talk about in this 3-week program. I even have a title. The title is Being a Man in the 21st Century. You know, because I think that where men have been and what's showing up with the deep masculinity in men, I also feel there's an emergence of a shift in the male consciousness. So that's where I got the title, and that's where I'm doing it. But I'm having a hard time starting, you know, whereas the program my brother wants me to do, you know, I'm only speaking for 30 or 40 minutes. But I sat down a couple of evenings and I'm pretty sure I have it done. I mean, I still need to sit down with it and, you know, fine tune it, but it's there. So what's the difference here? What's the difference between the jumping in and the planning part? And I call the planning like planning to be a speaker, planning to do this 3-week program. And I was thinking about that before this show, and the good things are sometimes I just don't think about it. You know, the bungee jumping, I didn't think about it, just left it there. The cyber hero show, I didn't think about it. As a matter of fact, my buddy asked me like the day or Monday or Tuesday this week if I wanted to be on the show. I said sure. I didn't even ask him anything about it. I just trusted that, you know, it would be fine. So that's all I cared about. The other thing is that I spend time and get connected with it. My weekly meditation, Kickstart Your Week. I sit down on Monday mornings and I just sit and feel into what energy wants to come through me that day. And it's not that I get the whole meditation, but I get different pieces that will seem to be the basis of the meditation. And once I get a couple of pieces, I say, okay, it feels like it's settled. and I go about and prepare for the meditation. And when the meditation comes, I pull it in and bring those pieces with me. And it, those pieces are just parts of the puzzle, but the rest of the pieces come in. And, managing life that I'm going to do next week for my brother's students, I'm going to have a general outline, and I'm just going to sit with that outline and just kind of feel into the different aspects of it, and going to run with it next week, and we'll see how it goes. The client project that I'm working on right now that I feel is over my head, I just spend a little bit of time every day working on it, and it seems to be expanding and growing, and I think I'm doing okay with it right now. Knock on wood. I think the other part about it is many of these things, there's a deadline. There's a date already set, and I'm working towards it, and I know it's coming. So I think if I look at some of those things and take a look at the troubles that I have with the items that I'm planning, first off, there's no deadline. I mean, I don't have a deadline to be a speaker. It's not like I need to do a keynote and that I'm going to be presenting it sometime. I'm doing the keynotes that somebody else can promote me so I can give this keynote. Same thing with my 3-week program. I don't have a date for yet, so there's no deadline. So it's, I guess, not having the deadline is slowing me down. There's some other underlying excuses, especially when I'm thinking about the keynote speeches, is, am I good enough for them? Who wants to hear what I'm going to say? And I'm sure I've got a lot of other excuses. Those are the only two I could think of this evening as I was getting ready for tonight. And I think also I've been really wanting to be a speaker and to get out and do some speaking of my own. But I got stuck in the details of it. What are the perfect steps to become a speaker? How do I promote it? What do I need to do to prepare? And I guess that's part of me overthinking what it is. Because when I sat down with a coach a couple weeks ago and she was telling me this is all you need to do, I was like, that's it? That's all that I need to do? And in that moment, I could sit with it and I could say, I can do that. I just haven't done any of it. And again, I can come up with excuses why I haven't. Why I have not made the time. Notice, I have not made the time. A lot of people will say they don't have time to do something. It is not that you haven't had the time, you haven't made the time for it. So I have not made the time to work on those keynote speeches or the details or whatever I need to do to describe what I'm going to talk about. And I've got a lot of excuses why I have not made the time, but I just have not. And for the 3-week program, I'm going to announce it here that I'm going to start the week of July 5th. I was looking at the calendar, the 5th, let's see, I don't think the 5th will be a holiday in the United States because the 4th is on Sunday. Don't remember where July 1st is. I think July 1st is on the Friday, I think, 1, 2, 3, I don't know, whatever. But I'm going to start it the week of July 5th. And I am struggling whether I'm going to do it on the Wednesday or the Thursday and just go for the following 3 weeks. Maybe the Thursday. I mean, that would get in the way of Live Life with Sean, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not, but I'll figure that out. But it's going to be that week. I'm going to start the 3-week course on that time. Being a man in the 21st century, so look for that. I hope that many of you will join me on it. And now it feels more real. Now that I've said it and put it out there in the ethers, now maybe I will make the time to get prepared for it. Yeah, I think it's very different for me when I have a deadline or I'm jumping in to do something that's already planned that I'm becoming a part of. Being a speaker is me going out presenting myself, and it's different than me being invited to speak. I'm sorry, I'm just sitting with that for a moment to what the difference is, because the end result is the same. I'm giving information to the people I'm speaking to. And okay, I got another excuse. I won't be in front of people because of darn COVID. As a matter of fact, I was talking to my cohort today, and it's a lot different doing a virtual presentation when you don't see the other people you're talking to. Like the Cyber Hero Adventures today, I had no idea who I was talking to, couldn't get their body posture, if they were into what I was saying or not, but thankfully I was able to see the other co-hosts and the other speakers on the panel, and it was a lot of fun. So anyway, let me know what you think. I mean, do you run into the same issues? You probably have different issues. You probably are no problems if you have to plan something and where jumping in scares the hell out of you. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd be interested in my 3-week program that's going to be starting in the first week in July, the week of July 5th. Let me know if you'd be interested in me speaking to you. If you want to know my topics, let me know. I'll shoot you my topics. Matter of fact, I don't have them in front of me right now, but I got 5 topics. They all feel really good. I mean, one of them is information security, because that's what I talk about a lot. But the other topics are, okay, the other topics that I was considering, let's see, talking about entrepreneurship. I talked a little bit about that last night on the panel, talking about what is next. Matter of fact, I'm reading What Is Next. I don't know what that one was. Navigating life. I mean, that in itself relates to what I'm talking about next week, is dealing with life. So I could put something together for that. Then I'm laughing because I didn't realize this was one of my topics on my list here, is the push-pull of planning versus jumping in. I mean, I was just sitting here tonight just trying to think about what to talk about, and I had another topic in mind, but this topic seemed to be more top of mind. And if you're interested in any of those topics, let me know. I'm going to put together my speaker bio and start getting out there. Let's see, I don't know when, but in July I will have my speaker bio in place. I want to give it a little bit of time, only because I want to get my 3-week program prepared, ready to go, and look for it. Thank you for joining me tonight on Live Life with Sean. Look, if you'd like to talk with me, you can go to my website at seansahagans.com. Go to the Connect with Sean page. Love to chat. If you enjoyed this show, please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and/or leave a comment or question, as this will help others find this podcast. And until next time, you know what? Have a wonderful week.